Hello you guys, welcome back to Edmodo. Today we're just going to be talking about how graphs can maybe be misleading and a little bit about bar graphs. So we have a bar graph here, and if you look at it, it says the Springwoods High School Drama Club and Choir competed to see who could raise the most money for their annual Schlitterbahn trip. They both sold ice cream during the 4th of July parade, and the choir claims they won. In fact, the choir claims they sold twice as many ice cream cones as the drama club, and constructed the graph below to prove it. So it says ice cream sells. Anytime you have a graph like this, a bar graph or any other kind of graph, you should always analyze all the parts before you even read the question. So we're going to analyze all the parts. The title, ice cream cone sales. So we know that this graph is about ice cream cone sales. We found that out when we read the paragraph anyways too. Cool. Number of cones sold. So the y-axis is telling us how many cones they sold. There's nothing over here that says in anything, so that just means that this 50 represents 50 cones sold. This 170 represents 170 cones sold. It's not like they're thousands or hundreds or whatever. So each of these represents that. One thing that we need to notice, and this is where you've got to pay careful attention, this graph is strange because if you look at the y-axis, it starts down here at 50. It doesn't start at 0. That's actually really misleading, and this graph actually has an issue here because if you're going to start at a number that's not 0, you should have on your graph a little zigzag line that shows you that you're jumping from 0 to another number. So this graph is a misleading graph, and we're going to notice that when we read the questions later, that they purposely made this graph misleading so that you could tell some things that were misleading about the graph, and you could realize that sometimes graphs are made purposely made misleading. Like when you watch commercials and they're talking about different things and they're trying to sell stuff to you, sometimes they'll make their graphs misleading to make you believe that their product is either more effective or less effective than what it really is. This one is misleading because since it starts at 50, instead of at 0, the difference between these looks greater than what it may actually be. So we want to notice that it starts at 50 and goes up to 200. You're jumping by 10 each time. Notice that you jump by 10 every time. Jumping by 10s. Then we look down at the X. Since this is a bar graph, bar graphs are always made to compare a part to another part. This is a bar graph. So this bar graph is comparing the choir sales to the drama club. So we're comparing the choir to the drama, this part to that part. We're not comparing to the total, really, and we have the different parts. So we know we have choir and drama, and the bars are made out of ice cream cones. That's also could be misleading because it makes them look much bigger. So we're going to go up to choir. Choir sold approximately 190. We see that because we go to choir, we go to the top of the bar, we look over, it's at 190, and that's 190 ice cream cones. Drama, we go to the top of the bar, we look over, it's at approximately 120. So these are some things that I like to do when I get a bar graph before I do anything else. Look at the information. Well, let's go to the questions now. Did the choir sell twice as many ice cream cones as the drama club? It may look, if we look at this ice cream cone looks like it might be double the other ice cream cone. If we draw a line right here, we doubled it. But because it starts at 50, did they really? 190, is that double 120? No. So that's what they're saying. They're trying to trick you to think that they did do double, but they really didn't. How many more did they sell? We would just subtract to get that. So 190 minus 120 would leave us with 70 for how many cones? How many more cones they sold. Looking at the ice cream cones, about how many times larger does it look? It looks like it could have been double. How does this mislead the reader? It makes them think that instead. And in what other ways is it misleading? That's what we talked about earlier. Okay. So for one of your questions on the Edmodo, you're going to answer this question. The graph below shows the number of gallons of water used to produce a pond of various types. You need to look at all the information and pick F, G, H, or J as your answer choice. Thanks for listening and see you tomorrow.